They'll tell you being nurturing makes you easy to use, easy to break, easy to forget. But what they don't realize is your nurturing is your silent power. While others chase attention, you create peace. While they fight to be heard, you're the one people return to, not because you demand it, but because your presence heals what the world breaks. You ever notice how the things people think make you weak are often the same things that make you irresistibly powerful? See, the world constantly tries to convince women that our softness, our emotion, our needs are all vulnerabilities, that in order to get ahead, we must trade our femininity for armor. But what if I told you the very things you try to suppress are the same things that give you the edge, especially in relationships, negotiations, attraction, and influence? Let's talk about it. 1. Emotional expression. They say we're too emotional. But your emotional intelligence allows you to read a room faster than anyone. You can sense tension. You can feel when someone's energy shifts. That's not weakness, that's strategy. When you feel, you know. And when you know, you move better, too. Vulnerability, being vulnerable, doesn't mean being naive. It means you're confident enough to say, "This is who I am." And that openness, it disarms people. It softens even the hardest men. When used with discernment, vulnerability is a weapon in silk gloves. 3. Wanting security, you want security. Good. That desire tunes your instincts. You're wired to assess people fast. Who's consistent, who's chaotic, who's a pretender. While others fall for charm, your need for security makes you pause. That pause, that's power. 4. Being nurturing nurturers are fixers, healers, and builders. You make people feel safe in your presence. And let me tell you, nothing makes a man fall deeper than feeling emotionally safe with a woman. Your nurturing side, it's the doorway to influence. 5. Overthinking, you call it overthinking. I call it analysis. You replay things in your head because you're searching for patterns. You're connecting dots others don't even see. While some call it overthinking, it's really data collection, and in the right frame of mind, it gives you clarity others miss. 6. Sensitivity to words and energy. You feel when someone's lying. You feel when words don't match actions. Your sensitivity is not overreaction. It's your radar. It helps you adjust your tone, redirect a conversation, or walk away before the mask falls off. 7. Attachment. When you love, you bond, but your capacity to attach deeply means you can also inspire deep loyalty. People mirror your investment. When you show them your standards, your love, your commitment, they either rise or fall. Either way, you stay in control. 8. Desire for approval. Let's be honest. Many women grew up seeking validation. But here's the flip. Knowing that about yourself lets you reclaim your power. You become mindful of who you let affirm you. You no longer chase approval. You select whose opinion matters. And when you choose your validators, you filter your world. 9. Talking too much. They say women talk too much, but in your words are stories, truths, intuition, and influence. You can spin words into intimacy, into clarity, into seduction. A well-placed sentence from you can shift a man's thinking. Don't silence that, refine it. 10. Needing love is not weakness. It's humanity, but here's what makes it powerful. Once you stop begging for love and start choosing it, you shift the dynamic. When you know you deserve love, not just want it, you command respect without ever having to raise your voice. You ever notice how the things people label as weaknesses in women are actually some of the most powerful tools we have? Emotional expression is one of those things. We're told we're too much, too emotional, too sensitive, too reactive. But what they don't understand is that emotion is information. When a woman walks into a room, she doesn't just see what's there, she feels it. She senses the unspoken, picks up on the tone beneath the words, notices the little shifts in body language that most people overlook. That isn't weakness, that's intuition trained by centuries of survival. You see, a woman who feels deeply is a woman who sees deeply. When someone's energy changes, she feels it before they even speak. When something is off, she can't always explain it logically, but she knows it. That's not overreacting, that's insight. Now think about it. Who is more dangerous, the person who speaks without knowing, or the one who waits, feels, and then responds with precision? Emotional expression gives a woman range. She can comfort, confront, seduce, or stand firm, all with tone, timing, and presence. Men are often conditioned to suppress emotion, and so when they meet a woman who is emotionally expressive but emotionally aware, she becomes magnetic. She becomes someone they don't fully understand, but deeply respect, because she brings something different, depth. And in a world full of shallow, performative confidence, depth is power. Let's not confuse emotional expression with emotional instability. They're not the same. A woman who understands her emotions doesn't drown in them. She navigates through them. She feels fully, then thinks clearly. Her emotions become a compass, not a cage. They guide her in understanding others. She can read pain behind pride, fear behind anger, lies behind charm. This emotional attunement becomes her protection. It helps her choose better partners, detect manipulation, and nurture authentic connections. Most people miss these cues, but not her, because she feels, and when it comes to communication, emotional expression becomes a superpower. A woman who expresses herself can disarm tension with softness, can bring people together with empathy, and can build intimacy with truth. She knows how to speak from the heart without losing her mind. She doesn't need to dominate a room to influence it. She influences it by being present, by being real, by being emotionally alive. People remember how you make them feel. That's where her power lies. Even in conflict, emotional expression gives her an advantage. While others argue facts and logic, she brings feeling into the conversation. And that's what lingers, that's what shifts people. Logic may win debates, but emotion wins hearts. And when you can move someone emotionally, you can guide their attention, their behavior, even their loyalty. It's not manipulation, it's connection. And when a woman embraces her emotional nature without apology, she becomes unforgettable. Society has tried to teach women that being emotional is a flaw, that it's something to hide, manage, or shrink. But the truth is, when you embrace your emotions without being controlled by them, you step into a kind of influence most people will never understand. Because you're not just responding to life, you're feeling your way through it and leading others through it too. ChatGPT said, vulnerability is often misunderstood. People hear the word and immediately think of weakness, fragility, or being easily broken. But real vulnerability isn't about falling apart. It's about showing up without pretense. It's about having the courage to be seen without the mask, without the performance, without the armor. And in a world where everyone is trying so hard to look strong, to look perfect, to look unbothered, the woman who is brave enough to be real becomes unforgettable. She doesn't play the cool girl who hides her emotions. She doesn't pretend to be okay when she's not. She doesn't shrink herself to be liked or quiet her needs just to keep the peace. Instead, she stands in her truth with open hands. That kind of woman is powerful, not because she's invincible, but because she's honest. Vulnerability isn't about being dramatic or spilling every emotion on demand. It's about being grounded enough to say, this is what I feel, this is what I need, this is what I fear. It creates emotional safety, which is one of the rarest things people experience. When you're vulnerable in the right space with the right energy, it invites depth, it invites connection. It shows the other person that they don't need to perform around you either. That kind of energy softens even the most guarded hearts. People stop posturing, they drop their ego, they begin to feel instead of pretending. That's what vulnerability does. It strips away the noise and invites something real to emerge. And let's be honest, vulnerability is seductive. It pulls people in because it's rare. Everyone's busy trying to be untouchable, yet longing to be touched, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. When a woman allows herself to be vulnerable, not recklessly, but intentionally, she changes the tone of the entire room. She makes it safe for others to feel too. She becomes a mirror to people's own hidden truths, and that's a power most don't even recognize as power. What most don't realize is that vulnerability and boundaries go hand in hand. Being vulnerable doesn't mean you let everyone in. It means you choose who gets to see the parts of you that are sacred. And when you choose well, those who experience your vulnerability don't see you as weak. They see you as brave. Because you're willing to go places they're afraid of, you're willing to say what others can't, you're willing to feel what others avoid. That makes you trustworthy because you're not hiding, you're not manipulating. You're not putting on a mask to get what you want. You're just being you raw, honest, and present. People connect through vulnerability far more than through achievements or image. You can be beautiful, successful, confident. But if you never let anyone see your heart, you'll always feel alone. Vulnerability is the bridge between presence and intimacy. It invites people not just to admire you, but to know you. And when someone feels like they truly know you, they're far more likely to respect you, protect you, and stay loyal to you. Because you become real to them, not just an idea, not just a fantasy, a real woman with real layers. There is something magnetic about a woman who can be vulnerable without falling apart. She knows her worth even in her softest moments. She knows her story has power even in the messy chapters, and she doesn't chase love by being invulnerable. She attracts it by being human. She knows that healing doesn't come from pretending to be whole. It comes from being honest about the cracks and still choosing to love herself anyway. Wanting security is often portrayed as something shameful, especially for women. You hear phrases like be independent, don't rely on anyone, never need a man. And while independence is powerful, the desire for security is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's not just about finances or comfort. It's about emotional consistency, psychological safety, and long-term alignment. Security is knowing where you stand, who you are, and what your life is building toward. It's the peace that comes from stability, not the thrill of chaos. And the truth is, a woman who values security becomes highly selective, and that makes her dangerous in the best way. When a woman deeply desires security, she stops being impressed by surface-level things. She no longer gets pulled into relationships based on potential, charm, or momentary attraction. Her desire for peace makes her pause. She watches how someone moves, not just what they say. She listens to tone, consistency, and intent. She notices whether someone makes her feel anxious or calm. She measures energy, not just effort. This inner radar grows sharper with experience, and that instinct to seek security begins filtering out the chaos before it even enters the door. She's not just looking for someone who shows up when it's convenient. She's looking for someone who shows up when it matters. That kind of clarity changes how she speaks, how she dates, how she negotiates. She stops entertaining what doesn't align. And when a woman stops entertaining chaos, the game changes. Because people who were used to manipulating her with crumbs of attention now realize they have to bring something real. They have to show up fully or leave quietly. The need for security also sharpens her sense of self. She learns to create stability within herself before asking it from someone else. She builds her boundaries, strengthens her mind, listens to her intuition. She doesn't just chase a feeling, she builds a life that reflects her worth. And when she meets someone, she's not trying to fill a void. She's checking for compatibility, alignment, and long-term vision. That level of discernment gives her an upper hand in every area of life, from relationships to career to personal growth. There's nothing wrong with wanting to feel safe. In fact, the desire for security makes her more powerful because she's no longer reactive. She's intentional. She's not led by fantasy. She's grounded in reality. She knows that excitement without direction leads to heartbreak. She knows that love without clarity leads to confusion. So she moves with grace, but also with purpose. She walks away faster. She questions more. She doesn't tolerate blurred lines, and she refuses to beg for what should be freely given. Security isn't about control, it's about safety. And safety doesn't mean boring. It means solid. It means you can breathe. It means your nervous system isn't in a constant fight or flight state, wondering if today you'll be loved or neglected. That kind of peace allows a woman to bloom. Her femininity flows when her heart feels safe. Her softness returns when her environment doesn't punish her for being vulnerable. That's when her true essence is revealed, not when she's fighting to be heard, but when she's respected effortlessly. The woman who desires security isn't cold. She's warm, but not desperate. She's open, but not naive. She doesn't entertain every hand that reaches for her. She waits for the one that builds with her. And in that waiting, in that protecting of her peace, she becomes a force, because she knows that security isn't a chain. It's the soil where trust grows, where love matures, and where a woman finally gets to be fully herself. Being nurturing has long been labeled as a trait that weakens women, that makes them too soft, too forgiving, too emotional. But what they fail to see is the quiet strength in nurturing energy. The woman who nurtures is the one who builds, who restores, who sees what others overlook. She doesn't just exist in a space, she transforms it. Her presence brings warmth, her voice brings calm, her energy makes people feel seen, heard, and valued. That's not weakness, that's a rare form of power that leaves a mark on anyone who experiences it. She doesn't force influence, it's felt. It's sensed in the way she listens, the way she supports, the way she chooses presence over performance. Nurturing is not about losing yourself to care for others. It's about being so full within yourself that you have overflow to give. It's about showing up with intention, noticing what's missing, filling emotional gaps without even needing to be asked. A nurturing woman doesn't just love loudly, she loves wisely. She knows when to give and when to withhold, when to embrace and when to step back. Her nurturing isn't blind, it's measured, it's mature, it's rooted in strength, not neediness. What most don't understand is that people, especially men, crave emotional safety more than they admit. They may be drawn to beauty, success, or confidence, but they stay for peace. And peace is what a nurturing woman provides. She becomes the emotional sanctuary. She becomes the place where people can exhale. And when someone feels emotionally safe with you, they open, they trust, they attach, they align. Because in a world that's constantly demanding masks, she gives them permission to be bare. This is why nurturing becomes a tool of deep influence. Because people are more likely to be led by someone who cares. They're more likely to be loyal, to return, to protect what makes them feel whole. A nurturing woman doesn't need to shout to be respected. She doesn't need to control to be followed. Her power comes from being a source of comfort, of wisdom, of understanding. And when someone knows you're their source of emotional nourishment, you become irreplaceable. She's not naive, she's discerning. She doesn't give to everyone. She knows the weight of her care, the value of her time, the depth of her energy. So she chooses carefully. She invests in people who pour back, who see her, who don't just take but build with her. That kind of selection makes her nurturing strategic, not just emotional. It becomes her filter. It protects her from being drained, from being used, from being diminished, because nurturing doesn't mean overextending. It means building connections that grow both ways. When a woman embodies this, her relationships shift. She no longer chases love. She creates environments where love thrives. She no longer begs for attention. She naturally draws it in, and it's not because she's trying. It's because who she is speaks louder than what she says. She becomes a magnet for depth, for consistency, for people who are tired of performing and are ready to feel. That's the power of being nurturing. It doesn't just touch the surface. It changes the rhythm of a room, the tone of a relationship, the direction of a man's focus. She builds a home in her presence. She holds space for growth. She encourages, she uplifts, she strengthens, but she doesn't lose herself in the process. She knows that nurturing others starts with nurturing herself, and from that wholeness she gives, not to prove her worth, but to express it. Her nurturing becomes her legacy, not loud, but lasting, not flashy, but unforgettable, and those who have been loved by her, cared for by her, grounded by her, they don't forget, because nurturing energy doesn't leave scars. It leaves imprints. It doesn't demand. It invites. It doesn't chase. It attracts. So when they tell you that your nurturing nature makes you soft, smile, because you know better. You know that your softness isn't your weakness. It's your strength wrapped in grace. You're not just a woman who gives. You're a woman who builds, who heals, who uplifts. And in a world that's starving for connection, you hold the kind of power that can't be faked, can't be forced, and definitely can't be forgotten.